Yeah. I've got a two-part. The first is for Eddie. Have you thought about cosplaying Slash? You could pull it off.
No,
Okay. The second one, what are all of the band's musical influences?
Jazz and classical, that is me.
Yeah, it's weird, like, our band kind of has really weird musical influence. Like, I'm really into, like, indie. I love nerdcore hip-hop. I like classical, jazz, emo, screamo, rock, anything that's hard. I like ska.
I started listening to music when I was 17. I started playing the drums when I was 16. I was in a religion where they didn't allow me to listen to music. So, it's a really old form of Pentecostal, but, so the first year I did some weird Mexican stuff and stuff with that drum beat. It was really fun. And then we left that religion and I went to a garage and hit the drums for hours a day. And then I found music, which was amazing. Alright, the first band I found was actually really weird. It was Alice 9. And I'm in love with Alice 9. I'm Japanese, J-rock, pretty much everything he likes. Because I found we like the same music, but it's mostly J-rock and sounds in my head.
So the Anime Orchestra is a fusion of classical and Japanese pop and video game music. So obviously, most of what we play, all of what we play is arrangements of things that are already written. But they are arrangements that I make, and I have a master's in music, and I have my influences based in Rebel and WC. And quite a few of our stuff, we put things in 5/8, which I don't know how many musicians know what that is. But we do a lot of stuff in 5/8, and then I really enjoy the bitonality of Ives. So we have a lot of influences from Charles Ives in our music.
Almost everything, but mostly barbershop quartet.
Really?
Nursery rhymes.
Spoken word.
Garth Brooks.
Really?
My whole family kind of does music. So my brother's here, part of the band, but my sister also plays piano. My dad plays guitar and flute and whatever else he can get his hands on. All of his brothers also sing. In fact, my dad was in a boy band. So to honestly tell you, I have a lot of musical influence just from my family. Other than that, I just like listening to difficult music like Japanese that I can't even understand.
Well, I mean, at Anime Cons, I do a lot of karaoke. You know, if they have a karaoke room available, I'll spend a good part of my con time in there just singing. So that coupled with a lot of anime, which actually have musical elements or core of it. For example, Suzumiya Haruhi or K-On. Those kind of fueled my current incarnation of what I want to do with music. So as a result, I have a guitar that's from that show. And I like a lot of music, but from that show. But just being part of the this group I'm in just makes it a lot more enjoyable. So
I have that same plushie, by the way.
I have all.
You have all? I only have two.
Major influence on me is, of course, the Beatles. Of course, I love the Beatles. And I still listen to Beatles every day at work too, or every week at work. And I also like the alternative rock singing back in the 90s. So my favorite band from them was Sonic Youth. They experiment a lot with with guitar sounds and tunings and feedback. So I like to do that sometimes. It's very fun. And of course, you know, anything that sounds good, I learn to play cool anime music, Asian music. I mean, it's not just rock too. I mean, I listen to Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. It's a classic album. And yeah. Oh, Led Zeppelin too.
Yeah, same deal with me, with my brother, but I play the drums, so. That's a lot of training. And, I've had a lot of training in terms of going through jazz in high school and then on to college in Cornish for a year. And that really helped me out in terms of bebop, getting good with jazz. In terms of rock, I just listen to whatever, on the radio or whatever, or I download stuff. Yeah. So, in terms of influence, a lot of the work that we have is like rock or disco, but we interchange into other stuff too. I hope eventually we'll do more jazz stuff. So.
My musical influences, I grew up in a metal family. All of my uncles, all of my cousins, all were in metal bands. So I'm very, very rooted in like Metallica, Skid Row, those like really old metal. Well, they're not really old metal, but like the early '90s metal music. And then I got into a little bit of alternative rock as well. And then I'm not gonna lie, I love myself some boy bands. I love me some boy bands, so I am a mix of metal music and pop music and choreographic dancing, and I love it, man. And it's giving my band headaches because I keep singing them in operatic song style. Like, so I love me some Japanese pop music. So yeah, that is my... Shut up. You do not.
Really, for me, Justin Bieber has just been the greatest influence. That's a lie. And then that wasn't really patently obvious. I think one of the first things that inspired me to get into music was I was a really big Pearl Jam fan as a kid. And then I added, Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, and you mentioned Veruca Salt, and definitely listen to American Thighs into the Ground. I listened the hell out of that record. And yeah, then electronica came in, particularly drum and bass was pretty influential. And when it came to hip hop, first hip hop record I bought was the Fugees, and I think that sort of set a standard for what I was looking for in terms of musicianship in hip hop, and definitely I cannot deny the influence of that kind of stuff on my records.
So right on, after I was like, oh, pop music exists, I'll listen to pop music. Oh, what's popular on Japanese charts? Oh, And then my friend's like, so I'm starting a band. Y'all want to be in it? And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what kind of band? Well, we should ask that before. I said, yeah. But then he was like, oh, it's a punk band. And I'm like, oh, what's this punk music? And then he played me a bunch of punk. And I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. What is this? And he's like, wait. I even have ska. And I'm like, what is ska? That sounds like, did you hurt yourself? And he's like, no. Listen to this. And I was like, oh my god, even better. What is this? And so for about 3 or 4 years, I was in like this punk ska band. Sometimes ska, when we could get our trumpet player to stop being emo and be like, no, come on in your room, you're good, everyone loves you. We can't do this, no, literally, guys, we can't do this without you. We just turned into punk band. We're not ska anymore. And he was like, okay, come out. And then, I became an otaku. Well, I was always an otaku, but I was like, oh, there's other people that like this. There's other people that watch anime that are over the age of 10. I thought it was just me. Oh. And I started listening to a lot of anime music, and then if you listen to the album, you can be like, oh, you're a nerd. I can see where this is going. And I started listening to more electronics and stuff, and MSOs, and other kind of Japanese-y hip-hop. Not really hip-hop. And so when Carl was like, no, this is actual hip-hop, I'm like, why are they all about women's and monies and all the sexual advances they make on these women with their money. And he's like, oh.
Yeah, then I'll play you like nerdcore stuff, and I'm like, hey, they're talking about PlayStation. I understand this.
Video games. All the video games.
Yeah.
That's about it. And then how we make music is kind of just like, oh, Carl gets influenced by something. He's like, make something with this. I'm like, what is this? He's like, does it explain? So I make something. He's like, this is not at all as intended. This is this kind of sound. I'm like, that's nice. So we put it on the
I
album.
know, it's been a lot smoother lately, because then I've just been like, you're right, you send me 50 files and work from there.
Remember that one time you sent me that like one song and you're like, I thought you were going to rap really quick to this. And I'm like, no, it's a slow song. And you're like, oh.
Okay.